Hey, what's up guys? Chief Pat here, and today bringing you guys a brand new Clash Royale video, and inside of this video, I'm going to be making a push towards the top of the leaderboard, where you can see I'm currently at 4,394 trophies. Now, if you take a look at the top, that puts me at number 7 in the world. We're only 80 away from number 1, so if we win a couple of battles today, we'll definitely get a little bit closer to that spot, and let's go ahead and start it off by searching. After a couple of minutes, we finally got into a battle against someone without a clan. You guys can do some detective work on that. But let's go ahead and start it off using the same Royal GG deck that's been so strong for us recently. Of course, we're going to play the Elixir Pump at the very beginning. We do have the cannon if he dropped anything directly down the lane, but of course he's going to follow up with his own Elixir Pump, and we're going to have to play our Royal Giant second. Now, normally with this deck, the best starting hand you can have is having the Elixir Pump, the Goblin Hut, as well as the cannon, and I would have played the Goblin Hut here instead of the Royal Giant if I had the chance, but unfortunately didn't have that card inside of my hand. I actually think that's the last one that's cycling inside of my deck, but let's go ahead and play some Spear Goblins behind the Royal Giant, get that cannon set up for his Giant right there, and I also dropped a Fireball on the Ice Wizard. Now, what I was trying to do is get the Ice Wizard down to one-shot range for my Spear Goblins, but it looks like they actually latched on to the cannon instead of the Ice Wizard, so the Spear Goblins really didn't do too much, but still looks like we're going to be able to take out that Giant in the very center, and rather than freak out over that Ice Wizard, I'm going to go ahead and let it lock onto the tower, and even though it's going to do a little bit of damage, that's going to be okay. We're going to save 3 Elixir because that's really what he spent on the Ice Wizard, only to get about 400 damage against the tower, and at this point, here's where we're going to start making our lead get out of control. We're going to play our Goblin Hut, which is going to start making these Goblins go down the left-hand lane. He's going to play the Giant, which we will be able to deal with, especially once the Giant gets closer to the bridge. We're actually going to be stockpiling Spear Goblins on our side of the map, so check this out. The Spear Goblins are now going to start piling up. We've got 2 that have come out of the hut. We've got another 3 that I just played. He, of course, is going to arrow those, so I'm going to have to arrow his minions back. But at this point, we've got a pretty solid defense, and once these Barbarians go down, this should be plenty enough to deal with the Musketeer, deal with the Ice Wizard, deal with those skeletons as well, and we can make a pretty decent push down the lane. Now, of course, we're going to want to Fireball down that Musketeer. I was hoping, again, to get my Spear Goblin to attack her and take her out because she only needs 1 more hit. The Musketeer, if you have even level cards, only takes a Fireball and 1 Spear to be taken out, but never really got to her. It doesn't really matter, though, because he didn't put a tank in front of her, and yeah, we've whittled down the tower to 1,334 HP, and this is sort of what we like to do with this deck. We don't go on an all-out push. We don't go down a crazy left-hand lane rush that takes the tower from 100% to 0. This deck is all about doing 500 to 1,000 damage at a time, slowly making your opponent hate their life, and then eventually finishing off towards the very end. So that's what we're doing. Hopefully this guy isn't having too much fun of a time, as his Giant pushes are completely worthless. The Ice Wizard's getting stomped out by the Barbarians. Giant actually doesn't even make it to the Spear Goblins, so we've got 2 Royal Giants down the lane right now, which are going to start dominating that tower, and this one is all but over. I threw the Fireball out because I knew this one was done, and with those Spear Goblins cleaning things up, his arrows will take those out, but it's going to be too little too late for a clean 1 crown to 0 victory. So that was a pretty commanding battle, and again, I've won a ton of battles on this account using this deck. If you guys are looking for a Royal Giant deck, I definitely am of the opinion that this is the best Royal Giant deck inside of the game, and after that win, we're going to get closer to the number 6 spot. We actually didn't move up that much in trophies, but take a look at the estimated time. It was estimated 14 minutes to find a battle. Of course, I went ahead and fast-forwarded, so we didn't have to wait through it. I think it took somewhere around maybe 4 minutes, and it didn't take the whole 14, but anyways, we're going to be going off against Seda Dragon from In the Light, and once he dropped that Musketeer, I knew that he was going to be using the Valkyrie, Hog Rider, Musketeer free spell strategy. It's just so common up here. You guys have seen me use it on my second account. It's really just pretty much everywhere you go. I had to drop my Fireball because I had nothing else to play against his combo, and if I was able to hit that Hog Rider, I would have been able to take less damage against my tower, but we are going to take about 1,200 damage, and we lost our Elixir Pump in the process, so definitely not the best start to the game. Sometimes you are limited to what you can do by your starting hand, and this is definitely one of those cases. I'm going to play an Elixir Collector as soon as possible, which is a little bit greedy since he could rush me on the left or the right hand side, but it looks like he's not going to do too much. He's just going to drop a fireball instead, and I definitely don't mind that play. That means he doesn't have the fireball to deal with my barbarians. He does, of course, have the Valkyrie, which I'm going to keep that in mind, but at this point, really nothing else to play but my Royal Giant, so let's go ahead and start that off from the back. And then notice what I'm doing. I'm cycling to my fireball. I was trying to get to it as soon as possible, but I really just didn't have enough elixir to make it happen. That's why I dropped those spear goblins so quickly, but still, we've got the Royal Giant to take the Valkyrie as well as the Musketeer. We've got the barbarians, which should help out as well. The Royal Giant is going to take a ton of damage and actually pretty much die before it even makes it to his side of the map, but we do have a little bit of spear goblins. We can use those to poke away at the tower, but still, we've taken a ton of damage on our left-hand side, and we really haven't gotten much in return. Now, we might have a small elixir advantage right here, and that's really the only thing going for us in this game, but we just haven't made a good play on defense to turn the tide in our favor. Once we can make a couple of positive trades on defense, we can definitely make this go back into our favor. So let's go ahead and get that pump down, get the goblin hut down, and as we go into double time, this should be our time to shine. Now, of course, making sure that our spear goblin makes its way down the lane. We dropped a fireball, hoping that we would be able to damage that musketeer one time to one-shot her, but unfortunately, she's going to stay alive. Barbarians are going to help out against the Valkyrie as well as the Hog Rider, and now we've got a pretty small push going down the left-hand lane. I decided to get a little bit greedy. I'm going to go for the Royal Giant right here. Let's see if he has a cannon or any defense that can deal with it. Doesn't look like he does, so I'm going to fireball out that musketeer and hope that we'll be able to take it out a little bit later. Looks like the Royal Giant was able to get a single hit off somehow, some way, and again, we're slowly whittling down his tower, and it's down to 2000 HP as he drops a Hog Rider down the lane. Now, this time, I don't have a cannon to deal with it. I have to drop my barbarians instead. Looks like those are actually going to get frozen, which really wasn't a good play by him, and now we're actually going to have a huge amount of troops coming down the left-hand lane. We've got the Royal Giant to tank for those low-health barbarians, and this is time where we make our push. We got fireball on the cannon as well as the tower. Royal Giant's going to start shooting, get it down to 1400 HP. I thought we would get a little bit more help right there and to be able to take it lower, but it looks like that's not the case. And as our barbarians go down, he's going to drop his fireball pretty close to hitting my barbarians, but no cigar. And this one is definitely going down to the last couple of seconds in overtime. Okay, so spear goblins locked onto the tower. Barbarians are going as well. They're actually going to get distracted by the Valkyrie right there. Fireball dropping onto the musketeer. He, of course, is going to drop his free spell to try to stop it in its tracks, but at 429 HP, that means all we need is a fireball and arrow combination to take out the tower and end up winning the game. Alright, so barbarians actually did get hit by that fireball. Really not too big of a deal though, because some of them were at full HP, and they're going to be able to take out that musketeer right there. And as he drops that elixir collector on defense, we're going to be able to cycle to our direct damage cards, picking up a 1 crown to 0 victory, even though things really didn't look too positive in our favor. So only 13 trophies for that battle. If we lost, we probably would have lost like 42 or something ridiculous like that, but definitely some hard-earned trophies against Seda Dragon, and one of the toughest battles we've had in a recent time. But taking a look, we made our way up to number 6 in the world, and we're slowly crawling our way up there. Again, a 12-minute estimation for our next battle, but it looks like after a little bit over 2 minutes, we're going to be able to get into it. And let's go ahead and battle against someone from HK Esports at 4,271 trophies. We're actually going to probably lose a decent amount if we lose this one, so we got to make sure that we win. And taking a look at our starting hands, probably not the best combination. We don't have the cannon, we don't have the elixir pump, all we have is the goblin hut, so really not what I was looking for. Again, I'm going to fireball. I know since I did get that one spear off on the musketeer that we're going to be able to one-shot her, and here comes a Hog Rider as well as a skeleton push. Now, not having my cannon is going to cost me right here, and as soon as he drops that free spell, I'm going to drop my barbarians. Notice how I didn't drop my barbarians right away because I knew he was playing the free spell, but still, somehow he got over 3,000 damage off against the tower, and this one definitely hasn't started too hot. The fact that we didn't have the cannon in our starting hand pretty much meant that that tower was going to get dominated. My goblin hut was one tile too far back to where it couldn't make a difference in the very beginning, but still, we definitely do have a nice little elixir advantage. I think we've got 2 goblin huts down. We still have that elixir pump on the bottom left that has been matched by his in the very center, and since he plays that cannon so far up defensively, watch what I do with my Royal Giant. Now, I know that the Royal Giant does outrange the cannon, but what I wanted to do was make sure that my Royal Giant tanked for my spear goblins. That's why I dropped it 1 tile up, and now we've got a huge push going down the left-hand lane, and at this point, I'm wondering what the heck he's doing. He dropped his musketeer like twice in the very center. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it sort of glitched out right there. And we actually ended up taking a free amount of damage, and it says opponent left the match as soon as he drops a Hog Rider. I really had no idea what was going on. I actually dropped a terrible cannon right there, so the Hog Rider took out the tower, and even though he was disconnecting and reconnecting, he still definitely has a chance going into the last minute and 10 seconds of the battle. So some really wacky misplays by me, as well as of course him disconnecting right there, have led to a pretty strange battle right here. So let's go ahead and set back on defense. We'll get another Elixir Collector down for that Valkyrie. And even though we have that cannon in the center, still gotta be a little bit wary about that Hog Rider attack. And I'm gonna go ahead and set up with another Goblin Hut to go towards the very right-hand side. Now, with the Royal Giant deck, if you can get it to the last couple, or if you can get it to one tower down for both sides, it's actually definitely in your favor. I can just plop the Royal Giant in the very center, and we're gonna be able to get that guaranteed damage. I am gonna drop it right on top of that cannon, which is gonna be a little bit annoying, but still, it should go down in just a moment. Now with the Barbarians, as well as the Royal Giant in the very center, I'm gonna be able to take out most of his counters, and even though the Hog Rider's flying down the lane, that's going to be taken out in just a moment's notice. So the tower is already down to half HP on the right-hand side, and at this point, we're just cycling back to our Royal Giant. He's going to play an aggressive free spell that's not going to work out too well. Really don't care about that Musketeer damage because of the fact that the Royal Giant's locked on, and as we drop the Barbarians, as we cycle to the Fireball, that's going to be the end of a crazy game, and yeah, definitely a strange one against Derek from Hong Kong Esports. All right, so good game, some really terrible plays on my side, as well as that one disconnection from him. I think we probably still would have won, but still 16 trophies from this battle, and as we head back to the leaderboard, we're slowly grinding our way up there with these really small victories for like 13 and 16 trophies apiece. So in total, we are at number 5 in the world at 4,449 trophies. Not too shabby. I've been winning pretty much all of my battles if you take a look at the log. It looks like I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 battles I've won in a row, as well as one draw thrown in there, so definitely having a lot of success. I'm going to keep pushing towards the top, making you guys proud, and yeah, we'll see what happens inside of the next video. That's gonna do it, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like on it. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace out.